If I told you NBA Youngboy had 19 people killed, would you believe me? Right now, nobody has a bigger buzz in the rap game than Youngboy. His Massa tour reportedly grossed over $70 million and is on track to be one of the top 10 earning rap tours in American history.
The internet is exploding right now because Trap Lord Ross just released one of the most talked about videos of the year, and this time he went directly at NBA Youngboy. In this new documentary, Ross claims Youngboy is allegedly connected to 19 different deaths. These claims are not verified. They have not been proven in court, but the documentary is almost 2 hours long, filled with charts, timelines, Reddit posts, and lyric breakdowns, and social media hasn't stopped talking about it ever since it dropped. Ross opens the video with G Money, the Baton Rouge rapper who was killed in September 2022. According to Ross, this was the starting point of a deeper Baton Rouge conflict. G Money and Youngboy fell out after Youngboy left TBG Records, and the two traded multiple diss tracks going back and forth.
Only the realist Youngboy fans would know that Youngboy hadn't touched a stage since March 2020, right before the lockdowns begun, when his Still Flexin' Still Steppin' tour was cut short after the second stop in Los Angeles.
G Money's song Industry is one of the moments Ross highlights, because G Money mentioned Youngboy's mother, his sister, and his late cousin Boozilla. Ross also brings up an alleged $100,000 bounty that someone put on G Money's head. 1 month after that talk circulated, G Money was shot and killed. Ross doesn't say Youngboy pulled the trigger. What he says is that this was the first major death tied to the feud Youngboy was involved in, and it set off a chain of events that spiraled through Baton Rouge. Then Ross moves to the second alleged body, a 19-year-old woman named Ernisha Barnes, who was killed in October 2017. Ross says Barnes was dating a TMH member named Hammer, one of the people Youngboy's camp allegedly had problems with.
Unfortunately, by the end of 2020, when the rest of the world was being let out, Youngboy was being put on a different kind of lockdown.
Ross uses this death to argue that women sometimes became collateral damage in these Baton Rouge gang feuds. Again, Ross never says Youngboy personally did anything. He's building a timeline of violence surrounding the beefs and alliances tied to Youngboy's world. From there, Ross starts listing the rest of the names he says fit into the alleged 19. Boulevard Quick, Javon Brown, Jiren Bang, Scooter Cryer, Dutch Nixon, Cornell McDuffie, Michael Riley, True Bleeda, also known as Dante Dorsey, Clifton Lindsay, Free Throw Harris, Didi Blanco, also known as Deontay Veal, T. Measy, 77 Hardaway, Sherwood Extendo, Jawan Dutt Alexi, Harley Ken, and Lesage Wilson. Ross argues that all of these people lost their lives in situations connected to the back and forth between Youngboy's side.
He spent the last 5 years in and out of prison and on house arrest, unable to perform, but also making him impossible to kill. But despite all the rumors, he's never actually been charged with murder. He famously caught double attempted murder charges in 2016, attempting to avenge his murdered cousin Boozilla.
TBG, BBG, and other Baton Rouge factions. In his words, this is less about one single person and more about a deadly cycle of retaliation that's been happening for years. Ross uses lyrics throughout the documentary to connect dots. He pulls up Youngboy songs where he talks about enemies, dead rivals, and shootings involving his crew. He shows interviews, court documents, and Instagram lives where different Baton Rouge figures reference shootings, threats, and old beefs. Ross basically tries to map out the entire war in Baton Rouge, and he positions Youngboy as being in the center of it, even if not directly responsible for the shootings themselves. But again, none of this has been proven by police, prosecutors, or any official agency. These are Ross's interpretations.
In his most recent stretch, he spent just under a year behind bars after pleading guilty to numerous charges, including federal gun charges stemming from a heavily armed music video gone wrong, as well as state charges for a devious plot that saw Youngboy and his friends impersonating doctors in an effort to get their hands on unlimited prescription pills and drank in the state of Utah.
Then Ross shifts into Youngboy's real legal history. He reminds viewers that Youngboy wasn't exactly clean when it came to the law. In 2023, Youngboy was indicted on 63 charges charges connected to a prescription drug case. The case wasn't about murders or shootings. It was mainly about possession and distribution allegations. In November 2024, Youngboy pled guilty to charges in that case. He ended up serving 23 months in prison. He was also sentenced to 60 months of probation and ordered to pay a $200,000 fine. At the time, people thought this might be the beginning of Youngboy stepping away from street issues. But then Ross highlights one of the biggest twists: Youngboy getting a presidential pardon. In 2025, Donald Trump officially pardoned Youngboy after he was released on probation in April.
These efforts at putting together a drill rapper starter pack robbed Youngboy of 5 years of his freedom, but between jail stints, he was on house arrest, forced to do nothing but fight his depression, pop pills, and make some of the most groundbreaking gangster rap that had ever been made. Youngboy was prolific with his releases while on house arrest and in jail, releasing 7 albums and 7 mixtapes.
Youngboy posted a statement thanking Trump, thanking pardon czar Alice Marie Johnson, and thanking his attorney Brittany Barnett. Youngboy said the pardon gave him an opportunity to grow as a man, as a father, and as an artist. Since then, Youngboy has been living at his place in Utah under tight security, rarely seen in public except for music videos and a major tour. That tour was called the Make America Slime Again Tour, his first tour in 5 years, ending on November 12th. As of right now, Youngboy still has not addressed Trap Lore Ross's video at all. No Instagram posts, no tweets, no messages, nothing. But social media is reacting non-stop. On X, thousands of people are arguing back and forth. Some Youngboy fans are furious, saying Ross is trying to frame him. They claim Ross is reaching, cherry-picking information, and dragging lyrics into real cases that don't involve Youngboy.
All of this while battling for his freedom, meaning that even behind bars, within just a few years, Youngboy's work rate had surpassed many of the biggest artists in the world, entire careers. But this year, in 2025, he walked free from the federal FCI Talladega prison, getting an early release in March.
Other people believe Ross's theory. They argue that too many Baton Rouge deaths happened around Youngboy's orbit for there not to be some level of connection. They point out how many rappers, not just Youngboy, rap openly about violence that lines up with real-life cases. One comment gaining traction says, "There's no way someone could have this many enemies dying and not get investigated." Another person said, "These rappers self-snitch all the time. The confusing part is why police never do anything." There's also another group of people saying that if Youngboy really was connected to 19 deaths, he would have been in federal prison years ago. One person wrote, "This is why I keep saying Youngboy is either a snitch or working with the feds. No way he has bodies and still free." That comment alone caused a whole new wave of arguments, because Youngboy fans don't play when it comes to accusations like that. The larger conversation is whether content creators like Trap Lore Ross are crossing a dangerous line. Ross's documentaries are extremely detailed and many people respect his research, but others feel like he puts rappers' lives at risk,
with one of his conditions being a whopping 60 months of strict probation. And despite his official rap sheet of serious crimes and unofficial title of the Murder Man of Baton Rouge, in May 2025, he inexplicably received a presidential pardon from the Slimander-in-Chief himself, Donald Trump.
Reinforces negative stereotypes, or encourages police attention by connecting dots that might not actually be connected. In the King Von documentary, Ross was heavily criticized for calling Von a serial killer, even though he presented his argument as speculation. Now with Youngboy, people feel like Ross is turning rap beef into a true crime show, and some think that's irresponsible. But whether people love him or hate him, Ross knows how to get the internet talking. These long investigative videos always end up trending, always end up causing debates, and always end up getting reactions from fans, bloggers, and sometimes even rappers themselves. The fact that Youngboy hasn't said anything yet doesn't mean he won't eventually respond. Youngboy is unpredictable. When he decides to talk, he talks. But for now, we're left with this question. Did Trap Lore Ross expose something real, or did he stretch speculation into a narrative that sounds bigger than it is? Is he doing journalism, or is he doing entertainment? And most importantly, how will Youngboy react if he decides to address this publicly? Let me know what you think. Did Trap Lore Ross go too far, or is he just connecting information that's already out there? And do you believe any part of this 19-body theory is true? If you want more updates on this story and everything else happening in hip-hop right now, make sure to stick around for the next video.